Everyone, and welcome to Toastmasters Thrive. My name is Lucille Reddick, and I serve as the Toastmasters Thrive Chair for District 50. Toastmasters Thrive is a leadership and education series designed to help our members and club leaders grow their skills in communication, leadership, and club excellence. Each month, we feature experienced Toastmasters who share practical insights that members can apply immediately in their clubs and professional lives. Tonight's session is especially exciting for those who have ever thought about pursuing the Distinguished Toastmaster designation, the highest educational achievement in Toastmasters. But before I introduce our guest for tonight, we have our program quality director here, Rhonda Bunte, and she has a few announcements. Rhonda, if you would come off mute and share.
Thank you, Lucille. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you here. My announcement is, of course, about our membership dues. Remember, they're due at the end of this month. So go ahead, go to Toastmasters Club Central and pay those dues. In fact, you don't even have to go there. There's a little button down at the bottom of the screen that you just click on and it takes you right to it. Remember, this is the best deal we have with public speaking, $60 for 6 months. Hey, that's $10 a month, less than $1 a day. Hey, you can't get that deal at Starbucks. Back to you, Lucille.
All right, thank you, Rhonda. So everybody, remember, dues are due. Let's get those dues in. And that Toastmasters has made it so easy for us to be able to get those in. So either get that in your club with your treasury, or like she said, you can pay it directly. All right. So our guest tonight is someone who truly embodies the spirit of Toastmasters growth and dedication. Dwayne Wanick, DTM, began his Toastmaster journey in Las Vegas in 2016. Determined to fully understand pathways while mentoring others, he completed both the Legacy program and Pathway simultaneously, earning dual DTMs in 2019. Since then, Dwayne has achieved an incredible milestone. Eight, did y'all hear me say that? Eight, not a, but eight. Yes, I see your fingers, Naomi. Eight Distinguished Toastmasters designation. Now, I'm still working on trying to get one. He was the second person in the United States of America and fourth in the world to complete all 11 pathways. That deserves a hand clap. And later became the first person globally to complete all 11 paths 3 times. When do you have time to live? Dwayne has served in every club officer role and held numerous district leadership roles. He is also the 2020 District 50 Humorous Speech Champion. He's a past district director and currently serves as district transition chair, and he's an Area 14 director. Tonight, he will help us understand what it really takes to earn a DTM and how members can create a clear roadmap towards that goal. Please join me in welcoming Dwayne Wanick.
Thank you, Lucille.
Yay!
Thanks, everyone, for showing up tonight.
Yes, thank you for agreeing to be here. And I just want to tell the guests that we have on here that if you have any questions, there's going to be a question and answer time at the end if our questioning doesn't hit what exactly you wanted to know. But first off, let me ask, is everybody here part of District 50? Is there anybody here that's from another district or out of the country or anything like that? We just kind of want to know who's in the room.
I'm from Iowa. This is Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. Well, thank you for being on from Iowa. Fantastic. Anybody, we've had people from Australia. We've had people from, I can't remember the part of, I think it was Nigeria and Africa. So it's always good to have guests on. So thank you for attending. Happy to have you. All right. So everybody else, I guess, is from District 50. All right. Well, cool, cool, cool. So, So glad to have you, Dwayne. So I have a question here for you.
Okay.
You've achieved an incredible number of DTMs. What originally motivated you to pursue the Distinguished Toastmaster designation?
Well, there's a story behind that one.
Oh,
So
I'm here for it.
those of you that know my wife may know that I met her in Las Vegas. And shortly after we were dating, I get this call and she goes, "Hey, what you doing on Saturday?" And I go, "There's only one right answer, right?" "I don't know. What are we doing, dear?" And she said, "I'm going to be competing in a humorous speech contest down at the police station. It's only $5 and there's snacks. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "I don't know what any of that is, but the right answer is yes." She had me at snacks. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching these really funny people go across the stage one at a time. And my ego thought, I bet I could do that. And the second I thought that, I got a chill up my spine. And I'm like, crap, that's how they hook you, isn't it? So I said, the only way I'm going to know is I need to go to one of these Toastmaster meetings. And fortunately, her corporate meeting was open. And so I went and visited the next week. And I just fell in love with the entire process. First meeting, I literally signed the application, became a member right there on the spot, and went out and bought all the speech manuals and mapped my road to DTM. And the only reason I did that is that someone gave a speech during that meeting that said less than 1% of the members achieved this highest attained educational award. I'm thinking, okay, well, I can have a goal. It'll give me something to focus on. And so I bought all the manuals and I mapped how am I going to get to my DTM. And then about a month later, some lady showed up called a Pathways Guide. And her opening line was, "Throw away your manuals. You're all going online." And I'm like, wait, what? I just bought all the manuals. No, I'm not, no. But she did say you had 2 years to do the legacy program. And so I don't know that I listened to anything else she had to say the entire speech. And I realized a couple of months later that that was a bad strategy because we were getting new members and I couldn't mentor newer members if I didn't figure pathways out. So that's when I decided instead of having a goal of having a DTM, I would get one in the legacy and one in pathways and try to do it together in parallel. So that's how it started. There was no goal to get 8 or whatever the number is. It was just to get those first ones.
Well, I love that. It sounds like that you have a competitive spirit about you.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm telling you, when I joined Toastmasters in 2018, I there was a corporate club at the company that I was working for at the time. And I was so excited because I had wanted to join Toastmasters, I want to say like 20 years ago. The former company that I had worked for, they had one. It wasn't on site at the facility I was working at. And so it was uh, not convenient at a time that I could get to. I had young kids doing it at that time, but I had always wanted to attend a Toastmasters meeting, go to one and stuff like that because I like to talk, right? And I like people. So you could marry the two. S-
Yes.
But when I heard about this DTM designation and the like you said, the statistics that only 1% have it, I was so intrigued. And so it seemed like a daunting task that I have been trying to achieve since 2018. Now, I wouldn't say that I started out just automatically going to it, but Pathways had just come on board and I got involved with the Pathways and everything. But it wasn't too long afterward that I did decide that I wanted to get that designation. So, for any of you that are feeling like that this is an incredible feat and that it might be seem overwhelming, um, this is the question for them that's in this space. So, for those of us who may feel intimidated by the DTM journey, how would you describe the path in a way that makes it feel achievable?
Well, it's achievable if you do two things. If you say yes to everything they ask you to do, and if you don't speak for free. And I know many of you heard me say that out loud before, but I've been fortunate enough to be involved in corporate clubs for 4 or 5 of my previous employers since I joined Toastmasters. And I am the person that will drag usually one of my direct reports is also a Toastmaster, into a meeting, and their sole purpose in that meeting is to be my evaluator. I will hand them an evaluation form. If I hadn't have asked them, they wouldn't have been in this meeting. They had no purpose to be in that meeting other than for me to get credit for the work being done. We do things in our normal life that are pathways projects. We do online presentations. We sometimes moderate panel discussions. I mean, go through the electives and look at the things that you can get credit for. It doesn't have to be something that you do for Toastmasters or in a Toastmasters meeting, but go get credit for all that stuff. And the byproduct, at the risk of burnout, of saying yes to everything that these people have asked me to do, is that you look back and you go, oh, well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. I mean, I did not aspire to be an area director this year, but they couldn't find anyone to do Area 14. I live right in the middle of Area 14. And so I told Denise yes. And then I said, well, I wonder how many more things do I have left for the next DTM? And I went and looked at the list and went, oh, being Area 14 director is going to be the last box to check. Okay, cool. I guess it was meant to be. So just don't speak for free.
Don't speak for free.
Say yes when people ask you to do stuff.
Okay, so along those lines of saying yes to things that people ask you, when I became a Toastmaster, I heard this word of being voluntold.
Yes, we've all experienced that in Toastmasters.
Never heard of that before. And so what you're saying is when people ask you to volunteer, uh, and maybe do you feel like you've been voluntold at some point?
Well, you don't know what you don't know. So that very first club of Kelly's, her corporate club, after a month, they said, hey, you want to be our SAA? And I went, sure. What does that mean? And they said, we'll teach you. You know, the area director came and visited a few weeks after, and then he and I became friends, and he became the division director. And he called and he said, hey, you want to be the deputy division director? And I go, yeah, what is that? He goes, don't worry about it. Just come to the division council meeting and take notes, and I'll teach you. And fun fact, a month after he got that job, he then moved from Vegas to California and said, okay, you need to run this for me, and I'll come back for contests in TLI. And I'm like, okay. I mean, nothing we do is rocket science. There's anything Toastmasters does do well is they document the heck out of everything.
That's true.
You want to know what this role is? Go read the leadership handbook, and it will tell you exactly what the role is. And in many cases, many of the mechanisms you can use to make the job easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's kind of what happened to me is I never have volunteered for anything in life. I am the least likely to volunteer for anything. I don't mind supporting, but I don't like, well, I'll just say I didn't like to lead at that point. So when I moved from my corporate club, changed jobs and I moved to another job and they didn't have Toastmasters. And so I had to find a club. And so I went to Best of Dallas Toastmasters. I don't think I had been a member there, 3 months before it was time for elections. And the president calls me on the phone while I'm walking into the grocery store and says, hey, Lucille, I think you would make a good secretary. Well, I don't know. What all does that entail? Oh, we got the manuals for you. We'll send you the information. You just come to the meetings and send out, information and everything. And I jumped in because anything I say yes to, I want to do a good job. And so I went to TLI. I looked at what the material said about, what the requirements for the secretary. I jumped in with both feet. And so much so till he and Bill Bodwell, one of the longest standing members of Best of Dallas, he said, well, you know what, Lucy, nobody's really ever done it to the level that you're doing it. You could pull back. You don't have to do it that much. Because I was sending out weekly newsletters with all of the information from the meetings, and
I love it.
I kept everybody up to date on everything that was going on, whether you were active or inactive. If your name was on the list and you paid, you would get an email every week with the information. So anyway, needless to say, they joke with me now and say you're the only secretary we've ever had.
Well, it's funny, Lucille. I don't know that I've ever wanted a specific officer role, and I've held them all, many of them multiple times, it's usually, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Or someone like they wrote me into Park Central last year. I get the call and they say, "Hey, you'd make a great president. Would you like to be president?" And I'm
That's
like,
how they get you. You'd make
"That's
a
how they
great,
get you. That's how they get you." Rhonda
but
experienced something kind of like that today, didn't she? But it's when it comes to other roles, like I said, I didn't aspire to be area director this year, but that's what they needed done, so I said
hmm
yes. I think the only role at the district level, no, that's not true. I was going to say alignment chair. I asked to be alignment chair a few years back because my favorite toy as a kid were maps. And to me, maps and data, it's not emotional. It's just facts, and organizing them was fun for me.
hmm
And then I saw David Adams do it, and he put me to shame. So we all can grow.
yes. And that's what I was going to say is that I grew so much in that secretary role that I'm an auditor. And so it helps me because sometimes I'm at meetings and I need to be taking notes while my partner is asking questions and stuff. And who knew that I was going to grow like that and be able to use the skills that I had honed in Toastmasters in my personal life. So you said not to speak for free. Um, I use that a lot when we when I'm talking about, giving speeches and things like that, because sometimes they'll call me and say, well, hey, Lucille, we don't have anybody, giving a speech tonight. Do you have a pocket speech? Absolutely, I'll get one together for you. And that way I know I can put it on my thing. And so I always want to get credit for any type of speech that I'm doing or whatever. But what I didn't know, because I served as an area director a couple of times, well, yes, two consecutive times back to back, just before this term right here. I never thought of using a role that whether the secretary role or the VP of education or president or the area director. Who knew? I was thinking it had to be something just grand for a DTM project or something like that. So, this was mind-boggling to me when they asked me to be the Toastmasters Thrive Chair. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm trying to mark off the things for my thing. And I called Naomi and I said, well, how is this going to help me towards my goal to get and she explained it to me. So can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that or how you came to that conclusion? Was it somebody helped you or helped somebody in the audience with
Well,
that?
it's pretty straightforward. The DTM project, which gets turned on after you complete your third level of your second path, if you ask for it, it's not automatic. You got to go ask for it. One of these days they'll fix that, I hope. But it's like the old HPL, but it's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be something of scope that you can't do all by yourself. And Toastmasters Thrive is a great example of that. This isn't a podcast, you sitting there talking to yourself. You have lots of people involved in pulling off this for the year. That is a big enough project to have qualify for the DTM project. And here's a fun fact. If you go to your VPE of your home club and say, this is what I'm thinking, do you approve? And they say yes, that's all that matters. Because what goes on the application is the date that you complete the module and press complete in the system. They don't want to know the name. They don't want to know what it was. They don't want to know how much fun you did or didn't have. It's the date that module is completed. And I'll
Wow.
give you another Toastmasters hack.
Okay.
Do not, if you're an area director, put on your DTM application the date and then put my area contest, because they will kick that back. And they will kick that back because in the minds of TI, they teach you how to do area contests. There
Mm.
is a framework out there on how to hold a contest. There is no framework that says, how do you run a Toastmasters Thrive? So that's the subtle difference between something that's fundamentally basic and something that goes beyond the scope.
Gotcha. Okay. So see that just expanded. I hope that it expanded it for me, but that I hope it expanded is expanding the mind of what this project is because it just seemed like it. I was like, how am I going to accomplish this? I thought I had to go, when it says an organization, I didn't think about Toastmasters as an organization. I was like, what do I have to do? I got to go find a nonprofit to go go and do a project for what?
So, Lucille, I've done now 12 DTM projects, and I would say half of them were Toastmasters related, and half of them had nothing to do with Toastmasters.
Okay.
You look at your life, look at the things you do, look at the things you get involved in inside Toastmasters, inside work, inside church, inside other nonprofit service, and look for things that can apply to projects and pathways or speeches that you're going to give that is the byproduct of the work that you did. We we tend to be busy. We
Mhm.
tend to do a lot of stuff. And that's why when I say don't speak for free, that is what I mean. Look at your life and the things you already do or the things you aspire to do, and look at those things that can be converted into credit somehow in the
Mhm.
program.
In the program.
Yep.
So can you just give us an example of something you did outside of Toastmasters, just so
Sure.
we can have an idea?
So while I was living in Vegas, I was a sales leader for McAfee. And we had this leadership summit, which is really just an excuse to get leaders together and drink wine and eat food and, talk about what we think we're going to do for the year, that type of thing. And we were sitting there before dinner, and my boss's boss looked at me and he goes, "You live in Vegas, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, we bring all of our customers, all of our partners, and a whole bunch of employees in here once a year. 25, 30,000 people ascend on Vegas." And he goes, "I've got this idea. I want to leave a positive footprint when we leave. So go figure it out." That was the direction
That
he
was
gave.
it?
That was it. That was it. And I'm like, okay, well, you typically say yes to your boss's boss when they have great ideas. And
Yes,
so I
highly
thought
frowned
about it.
upon to say no.
Yeah. So I thought about it and I came up with this idea of McAfee Cares. And what we were going to do is fundraise for 3 local charities and just give the money to them. And I went to HR and I said, "Do we have any programs that I can copy?" And they go, "No, we don't do anything like that." And I said, "Okay, this is going to be grassroots." So I opened up a Square account for this event. And what I ended up doing is creating this award for our partners. And whoever donated the most amount of money in our partner community got McAfee Cares Partner of the Year. I got a plaque and everything. And it became a
What?
competition between vendors who did not want to be on the bottom of the list. And literally, I had a sandwich board, the black one with the white letters you put on there. And I had their names and I had their amounts real time. And all of a sudden, my boss was carrying it around throughout the vendor uh, uh, section, and he would point the ones that had zeros at the bottom and go, "Why are you at zero?" And so it drew this life of its own. And the deadline was Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and we had already raised almost $20,000. And
Oh,
there were
wow.
3 people standing there watching the clock with their credit cards out. And it's like, how are you going to do this? It became this bidding war between them all. And I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you write a number on a piece of paper. And whoever, you're committed to that number, but whoever wrote the biggest number down, in addition to the total you already have, will win the award. And I had the most fun watching that dynamic play. So that's an example of something outside of Toastmasters where I was given very little direction and recruited a bunch of people to help me pull this off. And we did it for 3 years in a row.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like so much fun, and it's such a worthy cause to be able to give to charities because they always need money in order to help
Always,
people. So I
always.
love that. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, go back to the script, Lucille. All right. But one thing he said, y'all, do not use the area contest on your DTM project.
Or just don't write down area contest on your DTM application. Less is
Oh,
more.
okay,
Answer
gotcha.
the question they ask you. They ask you for the date. Write down the
The
date.
date. Okay.
If you give them too much more, you're exposed to their interpretation
Of what that is.
of
Okay.
what that is. Yes.
Okay. All right. So my next question for you is, you completed the legacy program and pathways simultaneously early on. What lessons did that experience teach you about goal setting and persistence?
Wow. I don't know that I learned any lessons on goal setting because I'm pretty good at checking things off lists. But what it did do is at the time, and most of you remember when Pathways came out, there were an awful lot of naysayers. Oh, we don't like it. Oh, it's
Yeah,
bad, blah, blah, blah. I liked the legacy program for the content in the legacy program, but I also liked that Pathways was more aligned with me and my life and what I do for a living and that type of thing. So there's some really robust projects in the legacy program. And fun fact, they're going to start bringing those out of the mothballs and making them available in Pathways. So I'm really glad to see that because that's intellectual property we own as an organization that's just been sitting in a closet somewhere.
somewhere.
But the way Pathways is structured, it went so much quicker for me because I didn't speak for free and I took advantage of every opportunity that I had at work and within Toastmasters and other nonprofit service to get credit for the stuff I was doing.
I love that. I love that. Well, my next question is, many members begin the DTM journey but struggle to finish. What habits or strategies help people stay consistent?
It's got to be important enough to you.
Mm,
You know, it's just like people who join Toastmasters and they're on fire and they get get a level or two or even complete a path and then they figure, okay, well, I'm done. And then they go away. You know, that's not my experience and I don't expect anyone else to have my journey.
mhm.
But when you commit to something, if you're getting value out of it, if you're having fun, then let that be your motivation.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Because it has always been fun for me. I like the aspect of meeting people, the people I'm around, and I love to hear the stories. When people are giving
Yeah.
speeches, I'm just a curious person by nature. I love learning and just listening to all the speeches. I can gather a lot of information and have gathered a lot of information that adds to my life. So, how could club leadership and district service help prepare someone for the DTM designation?
Well, 1 year of district service is a requirement. So you have to decide what does that look like. For me, my first year of leadership in district service was division director. So as the deputy division director and then the division director moved to California, I had to figure the job out and I already knew the job. So next year, it wasn't that I didn't want to be an area director. I said, I'm just going to go for division director. And here's a fun fact. The DLC at the time, I went through the process, went through the interview, and they said, we really like you, but we prefer you be an area director first. So we're not going to nominate you. And
So
Miss
now what does
Naomi,
DLC stand for those who
dis- district leadership committee.
committee? Okay.
That's who decides who will be nominated for division director in the trio.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I went through the process and they said, we would prefer that you be an area director first. And I said, well, where in the rules does it say you have to be? And they go, we would prefer it. And I said, so that means I can run for the floor. And they said, yes. And so that's what I did. And I won by 3 votes. So when you get the email that says you need to vote at a district council meeting, please vote because every vote matters.
Every vote counts. Every vote counts. Okay. Well, I love that. So, but would you say that it was okay? So, how do I want to say this? So, you were a district director first before you, but you've also served as an area director, correct? But
So
you
I
did
was
the
a,
district first.
I was a division director first, and then years later, the year before my year as district director, I was an area director, not because I wanted to, but because I got the call from the Eastern Division director. It says I can't find anybody from to do 11, and I know that's a 2.5 hour drive from Tyler, but will you please say yes, please, please, please? And what did I say? One of the two strategies: say yes to
He
everything
said
I ask
everything.
you to do.
Okay, got it. So, do you feel like that uh district leadership would that deter some people maybe from wanting to pursue the DTM status or
I think
designation?
possibly. I mean, I think it really comes down to who are you and how are you wired. I've
Okay.
led people my entire career, and I've been doing this a long time. You can tell by the mostly salt and the salt and pepper hair that's left. And before Toastmasters, I was a pretty good leader. That's the feedback that I got from most of the teams that I led. But I can tell you, I'm a better leader now because of the leadership that I've learned in Toastmasters. When people work for you in the corporate structure, there's this implied, I want to keep my job factor that doesn't exist when you're leading volunteers.
Right.
We don't get paid to do this Toastmaster work. And so you have nothing implied other than kindness and support and it's made me incredibly empathetic when it comes to leadership
Hmm.
in ways that I probably was somewhat, but now it really has meaning.
Okay. Okay. I can see that. And it really is different because I'm serving right now in as a leadership in a program. And so I have a group of 14 in my um, group that I'm leading in this process. And man, it is tough. And I I had to tell them, I was like, look, it's 14 of y'all. It's only one of me. I need y'all to cooperate. Please tell me what I can do to help you help
Yeah,
me.
that's smart.
So it really is I would say servant leadership.
Yep.
Uh definitely in this type of or any type of volunteer organization or something like that. Well, do you feel like that club leadership or district service helps to prepare someone for the DTM designation or because I know it's a
Um,
requirement, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think DTM designation is something you prepare for. It's a byproduct of the work that you do.
a
I've met a lot of
byproduct.
DTMs and lots of people can check all the boxes,
Hmm.
but there is a level of quality that varies across people. And just because you've checked all the boxes doesn't mean that you've attained some kind of level of quality. Does that make sense?
Well, I'd like you to unpack it a little bit more.
Well, I don't know if I want to unpack it a little bit more, but I'll try. Let's put it this way. I know one particular DTM who still can't give a speech without multiple ums in every sentence.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that you've grown in every aspect of our program. It means that you did the work to check the boxes. What I'm saying is,
Oh,
if you're having fun and you're growing and you're continuing to grow and you love what you're doing, then do the work and say yes and don't speak for free. And you're going to find you've checked the boxes many times very quickly.
okay. Okay. I like that. So tell me a little bit about because in my mind I have a couple of more things that I need to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
One is what is it, the youth leadership, or you could do speechcraft, I think. Or is it I can't remember it's one of
So
those.
it's club sponsor, Speechcraft, or youth leadership program.
Okay.
And then the other
Oh,
one you have to do is be a mentor or a club coach.
okay. So that's where I'm hung up on. Those three that you mentioned. I could pick
Mm-hmm.
one of those three. Uh, which one do you think is the easiest to get done?
Well,
Or maybe the one you thought found most fulfilling. I was just like, I don't even know how to attempt it.
yeah. So I've been involved in youth leadership, but I've never taken credit for it because I've never been the driver of the program. I've always just been the helper that's been asked, "Hey, can you come? You and Kelly come do a session on whatever it might be." I've had fortune to sponsor new clubs, so I've gotten credit for that, and I have done multiple speech crafts, so I've gotten credit for that. So I think it really depends on you, and I think it depends on your life and what fits.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's choices,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're not forced to do just a thing. There are people who just love kids, and I love kids in Toastmaster settings because they're brave. They are relentless. You go to some of the contests that they'll have typically at the youth summit, and they are some incredible speakers that I'm envious of. That I wish I'd had that skill and that amount of confidence back then. If that's your thing, go do it. If that's
Mm-hmm.
not your thing, don't force yourself to do it because you're
To
not
do
going to have
that.
fun. Right.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. So since we're talking about the youth summit or the youth leadership thing, I'm gonna ask one more question to that, and then I'm gonna come back around to speechcraft because you done a speechcraft
Oh yeah,
before?
I've done
Okay,
multiple speech crafts. In fact, I
multiple.
just got through doing one for the team I was on last year. Our manager knows that I'm a Toastmaster junkie and said, "Hey, I've heard many of your peers speak, and they could sure use your help. Can you do some kind of a public speaking workshop for us?" So last November and December, we did one as a team. And it was good because when she was in the room, we were all peers. They didn't
Okay.
see her as a boss. And as you know, if you're giving icebreakers and you're telling stories, you're getting to know each other better. So it was really as much team building as anything else.
Okay. Okay. So you're a leader at your company.
Yes.
I'm an individual contributor at my company.
Okay.
For anybody else who's in the room who do not have the advantage of being a leader at their company, how would you recommend, you know, a little peon like me to attempt to do a speech craft? Where would I find the people?
Well, first off, talk to your boss. If your boss likes the idea. So here's a fun fact. My boss called me when I was still living in Vegas, and he'd heard that I'd joined Toastmasters, and he knew something about it, but he didn't, you know, he wasn't well versed. And he called and he goes, "So you joined Toastmasters, right?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, we had a club in Plano that just stopped meeting. I want you to bring it back." And I'm like, I live in Vegas, right? And he goes, "Yeah, but you got all kinds of reasons to be in Plano. That's our operations headquarters. Just go figure it out." So here's another leader of mine giving me vague objectives and
Just
saying,
go
"Go figure
figure
it
it
out."
out. You're the
Yeah.
figure it out guy.
So I knew most of the leaders and leaders of leaders in that building. And I went in and I simply said, "So let me ask you something. Do you ever look at your calendar and you see that you're going to walk into a meeting being presented by someone and you immediately cringe?" And every single one of them said, "Yes. How can you help me with that?" And then I'd give them the elevator pitch on Toastmasters, and at least every leader sent at least one person to the kickoff meeting. There was one
Ah,
group that sent the entire team,
okay.
and then
Okay.
someone was smart enough to bring all the interns. So we had like 55 people in the kickoff meeting.
Oh, wow. My company brings interns in
Uh
every
huh.
year.
Uh huh. There you go.
Okay. I'm picking up what you putting
So,
down.
Lucille, you are not a peon. You are a leader. Just because you're not in a leadership role today, you can lead from within your peer group.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, I see somebody in the chat says, whether we realize it or not, we are all leaders regardless of the role. Oh, thank you. Yes, we are. I guess
Amen
if
to
you
that.
think about that, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let me why is my phone ringing? Stop. All right. Well, let
It's the IRS. They need your credit card number to pay your taxes.
don't even get me started about these spam spam phone calls that come in. All right. So what I'm going to do is I've got a few more questions for you unless the group has some, but I'm going to open up the floor and see if anybody has any specific questions for Dwayne. And if not, I'll continue on with my questioning. But if you do, you can raise your hand at this point, and I invite you to come off mute, and I can spotlight you or not spotlight you if you don't want to be spotlighted, and you can ask you a question.
And it doesn't have to be about this. It could be about tacos, Johnny, Juan, Ortiz.
Or your favorite dessert. Look like I saw Tiffany come off mute.
So, Dwayne, I have a question about the requirements. If we don't need the Speechcraft as one of those three, can the Speechcraft be our DTM project? My idea is hosting one for our Rotary district for upcoming presidents.
So your Speechcraft can't be your DTM project, but I know you well enough to know that you are so involved in so many things that I promise you there's something else you're already doing or you've already done that would qualify. And if you and I take it offline, the only thing you would then have to do is go back to your home club, Tyler Morning, and give a speech about what you learned about ushering that particular project.
Okay.
I know you guys do parades. You do these projects that take lots and lots of people. So the reason Speechcraft wouldn't work is that it's prescribed.
Okay.
Just like a contest, they tell you how to do it. But trust me, I know you've probably done multiple DTM projects at this stage of your life. And let's go figure out which one we can get you credit for.
Okay. All right.
And
Thanks.
still do the Speechcraft because then you can
Oh.
check that box.
Oh, well, yeah, it needs to be done anyway.
I love that. Thank you, Tiffany. Anyone else?
Dan,
Daniel.
you're our next caller.
Um, what I'm just real unclear on what the guidelines are for this project. Does someone have to approve it? Do you just dream it up, or
Just come up with an idea. Think about something you've already done or you're thinking about doing that involves more than just you can do by yourself.
right?
Go to your VPE of your home club and say, hey, I'm thinking about this for my DTM project. And Dwayne said it was okay. And ask them if they support that. And if they say yes, and most will say yes, then go do it. Give your two speeches, put the date you complete the module on your application, and be done with it.
All right. So I guess what I'm hearing you say is you go to your VP of Ed in your home club, tell him this is a project you want to do. He signs off on it, and you give a speech about it, and you're done.
Yep.
That's
If
what
it's if it's something that you haven't done yet, then there's two speeches involved. You basically go give a short 3 to 5 minute speech that says, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here are the people that are going to be involved. I'm going to get back to you at the end and let you know how it went. And then you come back and give a 5 to 7 minute speech on what you learned about yourself, maybe some assumptions that you made that you had to pivot on, those types of things. It's not about the project itself. It's about lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Okay. I love that.
And then my other question is, I mean, I've been a division director. I was an area director. So how long does, 5 years from now, let's
Yep.
say I want to finish my DTM, do those
Yep.
things still stand as
Yep.
meeting those requirements?
Once you do the work, it goes into a bank. And unless you take it out of the bank to put it on an application, it stays in the bank.
Okay. I mean,
I've done so many of these that every 2-3 years, I'll actually email education and say, hey, what's sitting in my bank unused? Which is what I did when I decided to be area director this year, because I'm just curious, how close am I to another one? Not that I care, but if you're doing the work, you might as well get the credit. And your club cares because they want the DCP point.
okay. All
Yep.
right. Well, I mean, your club doesn't get credit for you being a area director, or do they?
No, but they get credit for the next DTM.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Okay. Got it.
because it only takes one of those to convert into a DCP point.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
All right. Who is our next volunteer? Anyone else?
If you are the VPE, then talk to another officer because any officer can submit your application to TI.
Okay. All right. That's good. Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you this then.
Sure.
Okay. So now you were talking about this youth leadership
Mhm.
before we started on the speechcraft thing. And I love that you gave me some great ideas because I got all this stuff going on in my head, which isn't necessarily a good thing. But on how I can get it done. But if I did, I like kids, and if I did want to do something with kids, how would somebody either take it to their district to get it? Do you take it to your district to get it done?
Nope.
Do you let your district know that you? Because I know our District 50 does one every year. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you ask them, can I be a part of the preparation? How would someone go about that?
Start with the youth leader chair for D50. I'm not sure who that is this year, but it's on the website. Go have a conversation with them. Find out if you can get involved. And if you can't, tell them that you're going to go talk to usually most towns and communities have homeschool organizations. And I'm finding that those are really prime for youth leadership programs. You put it together kind of like a speechcraft, but it's for kids. And they've got tools and mechanisms that they can give to you so that if you did want to go do your own thing, you can do it. Go do a 6 or 8 week, homeschool for, 12 to 16-year-olds public speaking workshop. And you might be able to turn them into a gavel club afterwards. And any or all of those things would qualify for that credit.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm picking up what you putting down. See, I didn't even know nothing about that, but I got it wrote down. Okay. All right. We can make that. I can see that working. All right. Um, I'm gonna go to this next question here. Um, if someone is watching tonight and decides they want to pursue their DTM, what would you say are the first steps that you would recommend that they take?
Well, two. I was going to say one, but Miss Naomi's on the call, so I'm going to offer up two. First off, I just put into chat the DTM application. When I first saw that for the very first one, to me, that was the checklist because it literally tells you what you got to do. And if you're halfway through the journey, Dan, start filling it out and see what's left. That you got to submit it at some point. And that's what I did at the beginning of this Toastmasters year when I realized, holy crap, I only have one thing left, and that's Area 14 director that I didn't actually aspire to do, but I'm doing it because no one else would. I'd filled out all the other blanks, and that was the only one that hadn't been checked off yet. I'm like, well, that's I was meant to do it this year for no other reason. The second thing you could choose to do, and Miss Naomi knows this, and so does Rhonda Bunty, there is an advanced club called Super DTM that meets once a month. And sole purpose of Super DTM is to help people get their DTMs, to brainstorm ideas like we have tonight, to assign you a DTM mentor, which will white glove hand hold you through the entire process. And I think who was our first successful? Amy Bemis was one of our first successful early members of that club. And I know she stood on stage when she got her DTM and said a bunch of nice words about a lot of us, but her experience changed my life. And that's why I'm part of that
Ah,
club.
how so? Do you mind sharing how her experience changed your life?
Just the joy that she exudes, the growth that we saw from the beginning of her journey when she would, in many cases, question her own capabilities to this confident achievement that she did. She had some assistants. We all have assistants, but she carried the burden. She did the work and she accomplished that. And I was so proud of her.
Oh, that is
Everyone
so
that
sweet.
goes through it.
I love Amy, and I'm gonna tell you why, because she is the PR person that's assisting
Yep.
me. And I'm telling you, that girl got some skills.
She does. She does.
So it's hard for me to visualize you saying that she didn't have the confidence at that time. Because I thought when I took this over, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go get the people, and I'm gonna have to do the graphics and do all that. And I sent the information out to her, and every month she produces the graphic and sends it out and has it,
Yep.
time to go out just in time for different things and everything. So I love working with her. The Lord knew that I needed, I needed an Amy Bemis on my side because she has made this such an easy thing. Um, well, in the interest of time here, I want to talk to you a little bit. I actually have two questions. One is about the difference between the club coach, and the club mentor. Is Are both of those acceptable as uh to go on the application? Are they the same? Is it a little something different? Help me with that.
So they're completely different, and you don't have to do both. You just have to do one. So you have to decide, and it's much like making the other choice. Which sounds like more fun for me? Is it working with a new club charter where the day that they charter and have their first real meeting, the sponsors hand the baton to the mentors, and for the next 6 months, you're going to help them get their sea legs. You're going to go to the meetings, you're going to take the roles, you're going to teach the roles, you're going to have them build confidence. I still, years later, show up on occasion to clubs that I've mentored just to check in on them, see how they're doing, just to understand, you know, is the quality meeting there? Have they grown to the degree that they need to, or just be an outside perspective? The coach is something completely different. A coach is assigned only when a club asks for it, and a club has to have 12 or less members, which means that they are struggling and they need an outside perspective to come in and help right the ship.
Okay.
Of all of the things that I've done in that genre, the coach can be the most fulfilling.
Okay. Okay.
Johnny knows all about this little club that 2 years ago had 3 members. And I'll bet $100 right now they're going to be Spentley distinguished this year.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I signed up to be a club coach this year, and I haven't actually heard back from the club. There's um, some some pains going on there. The leadership. They've lost their leadership because of some health challenges and stuff like that. And so, I may be calling you to get some ideas on how we can get this club revived and get it going and
Sure.
everything.
The reason that they don't force coaches is that if a club doesn't want one, a coach isn't going to help.
Hmm.
When those 3 original Rose Toasters called and said, "Will you meet me downtown? We want to talk." And the look in the eyes of the 2 ladies have been holding it together for a long time. And the only reason that they didn't just throw in the towel is they got that third new member who was the shiny penny. And they go, "We owe it to her to turn this thing around. Will you help us?" When they've got that kind of desire to want to make this successful, and then the right club president comes in at the right time and just lights it on fire and turns on the social media engine and has this brilliant idea of having at the Rose City Comedy Club every first Friday of the month a leadership lunch and learn. He didn't call it an open house. It's a leadership lunch and learn, and it's a full house every single month.
Okay.
I'm inspired. I'm going to write a Toastmaster magazine article about this experience.
I love that. I mean, and look, I got all of these notes and stuff down here that you're giving me. It's because there's just things that I had never thought about. Okay, so that was the club coach, the club mentor. Um, I guess that's it. That it. Did anybody have any questions, any burning questions? You've given us the two steps. You've opened my mind to some things. Okay, so Dwayne,
Yes,
before
ma'am.
we close tonight, what is one final piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to begin their journey towards becoming a distinguished Toastmaster?
Just do it.
Come on
Just do it.
now, just do it.
Download that application, use it as a checklist, join Super DTMs if you want, and we'll hold your hand along the way, but just do it. It's not rocket science. That's one thing I've learned about what we do in Toastmasters. Nothing we do is rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always fun every day and every chore and every task, but it's fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And by committing to this organization, we get the privilege of watching people blossom right before our eyes. And that's what keeps me coming back.
I love that. I love that. Look, Johnny Ortiz says when you talked about the joining Super DTMs, he said white glove mentor. Sign me up. Okay, Johnny, we gonna hold you
Yeah.
to your word.
Johnny's going to be hearing from Miss Naomi. Trust me. She's
Write his name
tenacious.
down.
Yeah. You don't
She
have to ask her
yeah,
twice.
she is that because she reached out to me and convinced me. But I thank you, Naomi. I have grown and really uh, learned to really embrace this role. So I thank you for inviting me to do this. It so Johnny also says it worked for Nike, LOL, when you said just do it. And then Lemitra says leadership lunch and learned. She said that's rebranding at its finest.
It is.
How innovative.
It is.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you again, Dwayne, for sharing your wisdom and experience with our District 50 community. And thank you, everyone who joined us tonight for Toastmasters Thrive. You could have done anything else. We host these sessions every Monday. No, I'm sorry, every third Monday of the month, bringing leaders and experienced Toastmasters together to help our district continue to grow and succeed. So until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep thriving. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
I was afraid it was just going to be me and Rhonda and Lucille.